Hello, good morning, everyone. I hope you are having a great day. We do have a special guest. Miss Pippa has made her appearance. She is so excited to see the Swedish Nobels today. And because she has, a little diamond on her collars. That is so exciting. So, good morning, everyone. And I don't know how many people will come and on this live stream this morning, but I just thought it would be so fun because today obviously is the Swedish Nobel Prize ceremony, and we get some of the best tiara looks of the year at this event. It's one of my favorites and one I look forward to every single year, and it's supposed to start at about this time if I got my time zones correct. And so I just thought it would be awesome to stay here and wait and see what gorgeous tiaras that we might be blessed with today, because that is just so fun. So we just have a lot of people here. We have one of the new members from Royal News Network, Aussie Ruth, and we do have both this going live on the fashion channel, Royal Fashion News, and Royal News Network. So we shall see what everybody likes. Isn't that right, Miss Pippa? I usually try to keep her downstairs, but today I must have forgotten to close the gate because somebody's like, oh, yay, fun times. Okay. Let's go. And we have Lizzie. Good morning. So excited for this live stream. My favorite Swedish tiara is aquamarine Kakashnik. Yes, and Crown Princess Victoria wore that a couple of years ago at the event, and she had a gorgeous look there because it was a blue dress as well. And so I just absolutely love that look of hers. And let's see if we can grab a picture of it here real quick because it is amazing. And we also have Princess Sofia attending and obviously Queen Silvia, but no, unfortunately, Princess Madeline. She came to Sweden a couple of weeks ago for her mom's birthday, some of her mom's birthday celebrations, but then she has gone back home to Florida. So I'm sure she's enjoying the warmth while everybody's in the cold. I always wonder how she's going to survive when she goes back to Sweden, her kids, and they're like, wait a second, Mom, they're aware of how cold it is, but I'm sure they're also like, Mom, I don't think I'm ready for it to be that cold. So if you guys are not familiar with the Swedish Kakashnik, here is the lovely, amazing piece. It is gorgeous to behold, especially. And I think, honestly, it's my favorite on Princess Madeline. She's worn it a couple times, but I like here too how they add the base. So this is from a couple of years ago, and they'll add this little kind of diamond necklace base to it to give it a little bit more oomph. Although I don't think it really needs it. I don't think it really needs it. Chris, who is actually in Sweden, says, I hope Queen Silvia is wearing her favorite Luxembourg Emerald tiara and set, and also guessing the King's sister, Christina, will wear the Silvia, the Connaught tiara. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see who wears what. That's always what's fun about the Swedes, I think, compared to the Brits. Although sometimes we do get a lot of exciting different things with the British as well. But when it comes to the Swedes especially, they share all their tiaras. Because of that, you just never know who's going to show up in what to a certain extent, because they're like, oh, they could show up in anything. Now, Princess Sofia has been very, very strict with sticking with her tiara that she was given for her wedding, and now has a bunch of different colored toppers and everything. So that tends to be what she sticks with. Ooh, we got our first look at Crown Princess Victoria, guys. She is in the amethyst, and it looks so good. Let's grab it here. Oh, she looks great here. Because some of her looks for me have been like hit and miss, but I think that looks gorgeous. That looks really, really pretty. I feel like her nail polish is matching there as well. So she is wearing the Napoleonic amethyst tiara, which is actually a full circlet, which is a little bit unique in most tiara circles. So it's sort of tricky to wear. I think, though, that purple is definitely her color. I love that her nail polish matches her dress. Is that not so awesome? So that's one of our first looks of the day. And let's see if we can get, so you can see the nail polish down there seems to be a dark purple hue too. Oh, it's so nice. Her last couple of tiara appearances or her last couple of Nobel looks have not been my favorite. So I really like what we can see of this so far. Alice says, hi, everyone. I missed yesterday's live stream, but I'm here for this. Yes, and I feel like this is almost more exciting. So Golly says, I hope to see Princess Madeline. Unfortunately, she will not be there, but I do think that this looks amazing. And so Anne asks, I used to respect the Nobel Prize, but calling Kissinger a war crime, what he did before he won the Nobel Peace Prize, got me confused why the Nobel Peace Prize supported the war and killing. So this is just actually the Nobel Prizes. So these are the ones for like literature, physics, medicine, and whatever else they have. I can't quite remember off the top of my head. So these do not constitute the peace prizes. The peace prizes are actually given away in Norway. So they actually had their ceremony earlier today, but the whole Tiara appearance and everything, that one is actually happens in Stockholm every year. So yay. Oh my goodness. Such a great look. Let's see if we can get some more images here because I'm so excited. Oh, and if we can get a full appearance. Oh, it's such a pretty book. I do miss a bit when they used to have all of the kids on the stage. They don't do that quite as much anymore because after Princess Madeline and then Prince Carl Philip both got married, they both stopped. They stopped doing that with the kids. So it's a little disappointing, but oh, there's the full look. I do really like this. I think this looks absolutely fabulous. And so I hope you guys are liking this too. It's so just so classic and elegant, and I think really fits Victoria very well. Again, I'll have to pull up some of her previous fashion looks because some of them too, I'm like, what were you thinking? So this is a lovely return to form for Victoria. And Mary asked, how's your puppy doing? You said her tummy was off. It's still a little off, but I think I'm hoping she gets better. She didn't wake me up last night. I put her in her kennel and stuff. So in case she had issues, she could let me know and not like hide it somewhere. But yeah, she's been off the last couple of days. I don't know why. Okay. I don't suppose someone will wear the cameo tiara. Well, we shall see here because we should see how Queen Silvia, what her look is. She is wearing, it looks like she's wearing the conant. No, she's wearing the 9-prong tiara. And this is obviously not a great picture of her, but we're still just getting pictures in. So obviously they do sort of the ceremony in the beginning, and then they go down and do a dinner later. So this is what we have from Silvia so far. So this is the 9-prong. I always think she looks really elegant. For her age, she's turning 80 this year. And so I think she still pulls out the elegance very, very well. I would assume the 9-prong, it's one reserved for the queen, but I would assume out of all the bigger guns the Swedish have, it's one of the lighter tiaras. The Braganza is very heavy. And I would assume the sapphire one is also quite heavy. So this one is a bit more on the lighter end. She could have gone for either the conant, which is also very light, or there's a couple other ones. She has been known to wear the Baden fringe, and that is one that, although this is not confirmed, but generally it's generally the tiara worn by the crown princess, and so it's not like exclusively hers. And oh, my screen froze again. Oh, come on. No, I'm talking. No. Just do it. I did it again. Stop sharing. Darn. All right, but hey guys, I am back. So sorry. This is like the second time this has happened recently. I don't know what's up. I've done live streams now for at least 6 months at this place I'm living at. And only recently have I had trouble with the live stream, like just totally dropping. I blame the rain. It's raining outside. And so that is what I will blame today. Okay. Ooh, interesting. Okay. So we were talking about obviously the Queen Silvia and the 9-prong. At least I hope that's what you guys saw last time. we were on. And I think the 9-prong again, it's, I think, a very light piece. And I think one that's good for Silvia given her age. But I always think she looks really elegant. I think she looks really elegant. And so, we have Jennifer. Good morning. I finally got to try Woodard's. So excited for the tiaras. Yes, it is so exciting. So Lee Foster said, morning, Brittany. You mentioned that other worlds have more tiara events compared to the Brits. Outside of state visits and the Nobel Prize, what are those events? Are they official or family events? There's a couple of different events. Sometimes it is a birthday. Sometimes if there's a big birthday, they'll have a big celebration with tiaras. This year in Sweden, we had obviously the King's Golden Jubilee. There was a tiara event there. For at least the Brits, at least when it came to the Platinum Jubilee, definitely no. The Golden Jubilee or the Diamond Jubilee, no. Not sure about the Golden Jubilee, if there was tiara events in the UK and there was not. So, you have birthdays, big birthdays, sometimes even smaller birthdays. You obviously have, if there's a Jubilee. And not only do they go and do state visits, not only do they have state visits within their country, but often they go to other countries. So especially like Queen Maxima of the Netherlands, she'll wear tiara several times a year because she's doing it at state visits. They also have an extra like diplomatic reception thing. She usually wears a tiara too. And there's like a couple of other different events. And Brits, it's usually just like Catherine's worn a tiara just 3 times this year. And most of the time it would actually have been, she could have worn it actually 4 times this year. Because usually there are 2 state visits, the diplomatic reception, and this year Catherine did the wedding of Crown Prince Hussein of Jordan. And so at most, Catherine will usually just have 3. Now, when she's queen and she starts going on official visits, it might increase, but the Brits are just, I feel like I just see so many more tiara events from the other worlds than I do see from the British. So it's just a little bit disappointing to me because I do love tiara events. And so we do have a picture as well of Princess Sofia, and she is wearing the tiara she received for her wedding. And she's wearing this quite huge necklace, which I don't recognize from the Swedish collection. To me, it looks like costume jewelry. Which is sort of a surprise. The Swedes have an incredible jewelry collection, but this is not a piece I'm familiar with at all. And it looks more costume jewelry. There's actually sort of a piece that has like blue stones in it and gold that Princess Madeline has worn, but that is not it. That is not it. So yeah, it looks good. But I'd love to see her full look, but she doesn't go on the stage like Crown Princess Victoria and Princess Silvia or Queen Silvia do. Rich says, I love Crown Princess Victoria. One of the most majestic tiaras is the one she wore at a wedding to Prince Daniel. Magnificent. Yeah. So it wasn't Carl Philip. Oh, wore to the wedding of Carl Philip. Yeah. So which one does she wear? Does she wear the bottom fringe? No, I can't remember. Or maybe the Conant. Because I remember, sorry, I'm typing and trying to think at the same time. So, because I remember, yeah, so she wore the Conant tiara, which is kind of a special one within the family collection. It is quite old as well. And so it just has this gorgeous, like dainty feel to it, which I do absolutely love. It's such a pretty piece. And it's one we don't see her get in too often. And it took a while. I think even her sister wore it before she did. But it has these lovely dangle bits. Very pretty, very romantic. I don't know if we'll see this one from one of the king's sisters. So we'll have to keep looking at the Getty images here. So Rensky asks, hi, Brittany. A side note, if I may, will you be doing a video on the recent Spanish RF scandal? I probably won't. I've gotten the feeling from what I've seen and what other people have said as well, is this guy's just sort of, had a tenuous connection, is now milking it for all it's worth. So it's not like the Crown Prince Frederick thing where he was like literally photographed going to these events with this woman and then going back to her apartment. That's just totally different. I just don't put much credence in a singular selfie of somebody who's fully clothed and looks like they're in like a gas station bathroom, because that's like his evidence is like, look, her selfie. And she's like, like, I don't think that says what you think it does, bud. Anyways. So Jennifer says, my favorite is the amethyst tiara. I'm a little biased since it's my birthstone. And it's honestly one as well we don't see a lot of. It's something that is just not really on the radar much. And so it's kind of crazy that we just don't see more of it, but we really don't in terms of tiaras. There's very few. Again, the Swedish amethyst is one of the few I can think of in that instance. And so other than that, though, we don't tend to see amethyst very much with anyone. And so I think it's just lovely to see. And they're just such huge amethysts too. It's not just that they're amethysts. They are massive amethysts. They are so large, so gorgeous. And they come from the court of Napoleon. So these are very old gemstones. I'd like to know even more about like the history of gemstones and stuff, because what I find interesting is the opportunity to really understand and view these stones as different, because they are different than what we'll get here in, like, if you go to the average jewelry store or something like that. These are old mine cut, so they have a uniqueness. I'm sure they're scratched up a bit and stuff like that from just time, but there's something beautiful. And then of course we have Queen Marguerite, who said, it's not about the carats, it's about the centuries. And that's what tiaras represent. They're not just pretty jewelry, and they are, of course, but they represent history and tradition and just the passing of jewelry through the ages, which is very cool. Oh, Shandy says, I'm hoping Crown Princess Victoria wears her hair down today. She's so lovely. We don't have any of her hair down, but I will have to say she doesn't usually wear her hair down. It's kind of like DEFCON 1. If she like wears her hair down, it's like, oh, her hair is down. She did a couple for like her official birthday portraits a couple years ago when she turned 40. But other than that, we just never see her with her hair down. Colleen said she looks beautiful. I'm watching this as well, doing my thesis for my architecture degree. That's so cool. Yeah. And there's some unique architecture here as well with these lovely tiaras. Do we have a group photo of them all? Not yet. So I will go ahead and kind of give you guys a look at the stage here, because what we have too is an interesting thing, because all the king's children used to be on the dais up there with the king and queen, but now it's just Victoria and Daniel. So Victoria, Crown Princess Victoria, and her husband. And so I know there's the watermark on here, but if we can stretch it a bit. So the Nobel laureate, the Nobel laureates are over here. They're over here waiting to get their awards, and I'm not sure who these people are, but most of these people are the Nobel laureates. And the overside, we may have like previous Nobel laureates. And then you can see as well here the King Carl Gustaf, his wife Queen Silvia, and then you have Crown Princess Victoria and Prince Daniel. So they are up there on the stage with everyone, and the King does get to pass out the Nobel prizes. And so this is what we see. And then after this is done, they do the ceremony, and then there's a procession down to dinner. And so we usually get some really cool pictures then, especially from like the back of the heads, because usually the Swedes are very good at not only making great tiara hair, but like putting other pieces of jewelry within their hair. And so oftentimes we get that as well. So hopefully we get some really amazing pictures later today. Let me look and see if I can see anything else that looks particularly good, because we're just getting pictures in. And I did really want to cover this event this year, but I'm kind of glad I didn't, just because I think it would have been September sort of wore me out. I'm just going to be quite honest. I was traveling most of September, and I just kind of came back, and I'm like, I had like to get up and moving after right away and stuff. And I was just still like a little right down, but here's all the royals we have on the stage. So I love King Carl Gustaf. He always looks a little bit perpetually grumpy. So I think Prince Oscar, who's Crown Princess Victoria's son, I think he gets a little bit of the grump from Gramps. I think it's lovely. Rich says, wow, that the amethyst tiara is wow. It is. And again, it's a very unique, we don't see a lot of amethyst tiaras really. The Brits don't have one. I can't really think of any other house really that has one off the top of my head. Chris, thank you. Literature, medicine, and physiology, chemistry, and economics in Stockholm. Peace and also. Yes. Joe says, who's your favorite look? Well, today, definitely I would have to say so far Crown Princess Victoria. We don't really have a good view of Sofia's dress yet, so we won't probably get a full view until they go in for the procession for dinner. But Sofia usually is not my favorite. Oh, so if Miss Pippa continues to have tummy issues, try some pure pumpkin puree. A teaspoon in her food once a day can help. We might have to try that, Miss Pippa. You might have to try that. Because I just keep finding presents. Louis says, you should definitely do this thing one-on-one when the Danish royals bring out their best. It's going to be 8 p.m. on evening local time. Also, just what a better way to celebrate the new year than to watch. Yes, that is a great idea as well. Yeah, and obviously the Danes have a New Year's Eve, or is it New Year's Day? One of the two. Oh yeah, 1/1. So New Year's Day. They have a Tiara event every year. And I wanted to cover that too at some point, or I would like to cover that too at some point. CK Cribs says, I really like the shade of pink on Queen Silvia's dress. Lovely. She does do a fantastic job. And it's just incredible. And I think, you know, especially for her age and everything, I just think she always looks so well put together. And SEJ, I didn't see the amethyst tiara. Am I missing something? You might have missed something, but it is this one right here. It is a amethyst tiara, and the amethyst there. And you guys can tell here it's a full circlet. So you can see it goes completely around the back of her head. And there may be something in her hair about right there. So this is Crown Princess Victoria. And again, for those of you who may not remember, Princess Madeline did something really cool with this tiara several years ago, about 10 plus years ago now, is she did sort of place it on her head, typically like a tiara, but she had her hair down. So she pulled about half her hair through the back of the tiara. So it gave her hair volume and also hid the back of the tiara. It was very cool. It was very, very cool. So I still love that look. Brit says Princess Sophia's look can often look kind of heavy for someone her age, making her look matronly. Yes, I would agree with that. Princess Sophia, I just generally haven't liked her looks. I would say the vast majority of the time, I just haven't. So she's just, I look forward to Victoria a bit more. And Victoria, I had a chance to photograph her at the Jubilee concert, and she's so fun to photograph because she's very animated and she's very, she got really into the music and stuff. This is obviously would be a different event, but I feel like she's just somebody who's, is just very, very, just has a lot of movement to her, and it's just fun to photograph. So let's see here. Oh, I just love the Swedish Nobels, guys. It is my favorite. It's just such a fun event. Yay. I'm just kind of hoping and waiting. Here's a different look at Sophia's. This looks like a screen grab from the event itself. And I will say again, hard to tell exactly what we're seeing here from Sofia in terms of the full dress, because it can look a bit heavy sometimes. And so here's a look from the live stream. And again, this necklace, I would be absolutely positive is costume jewelry. It may be like Swarovski or something. But it looks like the rest of her dress is a black. So, and then you can see the emerald toppers on top of her tiara. And this one was interesting too, because when they first gave her this tiara, it sort of like sat on like the crown of her head. And so it looked really, really weird. And so I was like, oh, darn. I was like, they gave her one, but it looks so strange. And then she finally adjusted it so it has more of that typical tiara shape that kind of goes down. It like sat up here. It was just odd. Wow, I can really hear the rain going outside my house. It's like it feels like summer or something. Sheila says the UK royal family are careful with wearing the tiaras because of the cost of living crisis in the UK, and the show of tiaras is not as important to UK royals than connecting with the public and their causes. I don't think that's the case. I think that's kind of a cop-out, because part of the fun of tiaras is actually seeing them. And I think it's not like a flashiness, because again, there is understanding that these tiaras have, like, they didn't buy these tiaras recently. Some of them have been around for well over 100 years. And so it's just a history and tradition of the family. So I would prefer that they wore them more, because they used to wear them more. And I think sometimes they wore them during cost of living crises and stuff. But I think as the queen aged, they sort of phased out of wearing them quite as much as the older she got. And I don't think there's been okay, let's relook and see what we're doing and see, do we need to change things? Because again, like I've said, I don't like that they only allow about like one photographer in for the state visits. They need to allow more, because it's just the amount of pictures we get and video is so lame. And terrible compared to what we get with other families, because we'll get these great close-up shots, these amazing videos of these tiaras in all their glory, which is awesome, but we just don't get it from the Brits. It's very annoying. You have to wait. They have to go to another country so we can see it. Caroline says, learning about royal jewelry is way more interesting than I thought. Do you have any videos explaining the different royal pieces for newbies like me? Yeah, so if you go to Royal Fashion News, I have one that's just kind of like Tiara 101, explaining the different looks and stuff, because, you know, there's fringes, there's kokoshniks, there's floral pieces, there are, you know, what we call the big guns, which are the tiaras basically reserved for the queens of whatever country, and that nobody else generally wears them. And so that video, I just think is so fun. And yes, these are super fun pieces to learn about, because there is a great history to them. Again, Queen Marguerite of Denmark said, which was so true, is that it's not about the carats, it's about the centuries. And I think some people sometimes sort of forget that, because they think, oh, you know, they're just so expensive, they're showing off their wealth. And it's not really that, because it's really about portraying the centuries. And so I think that's something that's really important to remember, and that it gives you a different perspective on the pieces, and not thinking, oh, that they're just for the wealthy or something like that. There's a bigger history and importance to them, which I think is just really cool. So it was one of the first videos I did. I'm trying to just make sure I can find it. It's I love the thumbnail for it. It just says it's labeled Tiara 101, and it just says, oh, it's a tiara. And there is so many, so this doesn't show you the thumbnail, but this is the video, Tiara 101, everything you need to know about royal tiaras, from the histories to gemstones and styles. So, and obviously we start with Amy Farrah Fowler, because how can you not? Because it's a tiara. If you haven't seen that bit from The Big Bang Theory, you should. And I do think it's kind of lame that they never ever tried to get a Swedish royal to like come in and do part of that, because their final episode of the final season took place they weren't in Stockholm, but it took place at the Nobel Prizes in Stockholm. So if you want to know more about the history, and I have different videos where I go over different tiaras and the history and stuff, because they are very interesting. So many interesting pieces. Crystal says, yes, Victoria needs a new hairstyle. I know, apparently what I've heard and understood is that she has some sort of like facial dyslexia, where she has a really hard time remembering faces, even her own. So she sticks to somewhat the same hairstyles to make sure she can recognize herself, which sounds weird, but it is. That is what she says. Rich says, Queen Margaret does the tiara look fabulously to showcase the beauty of many tiaras she wears. Yeah, she does a great job with them, and it's a really incredible. Gemstone Girl says, the cutting alone of these gemstones is really amazing. No modern tools for cutting back then. Yes, and that's why it's, I think, it would be so fascinating to see and be able to, because I can take pictures of tiaras, but they're through, thick glass, at museums and stuff. And it's like, I'd love the chance to like really get a close-up view and look at these gemstones, because they are so old. And so that gives you just a different piece of the history to them. And if you think as well too, like some of the diamonds, like the Stuart diamond, which is in the Stuart tiara in the Netherlands, it's a 40 karat diamond, and it's been around since the 1600s. So it's a very old diamond. And as well, in the imperial state crown, you have the Prince's Ruby. You have a gemstone from a sapphire from the Stuart dynasty. And so you have a lot of these different gemstones that have made their ways into crowns and tiaras and everything. And again, they're pretty, yes, but they also represent a long period of history as well. Like the emerald tiara within the Louvre was made actually with emeralds from the royal collection. So it's has quite a history there as well. So they are giving out the awards here, and I do love, so Carl Gustav, and one day this will be Crown Princess Victoria, which is crazy to think. And so he gives away the, if you don't know, he gives away the prizes to everyone. And there we go. So that is him passing around the awards to the latest recipients. And so, and if you go to Sweden, you can go to like, I didn't go to, there's like a Nobel museum. I didn't go in there. And I believe that Catherine and William went there too, because I was looking for pictures for the Nobels for the thumbnail, and they're like a bunch of with Catherine and William. I'm like, wait, what? So Stephen says, do you know if any of the Swedish royal jewelry that is cursed or considered unlucky? No, as far as I know, there's nothing like that. There are a couple pieces. One piece is like, I think the story is Queen Silvia, because she married her husband when he was already king, so she automatically became queen, and she was looking through some places to like find she was looking through something. Anyways, and she ended up finding a tiara in like at the back of a cupboard. It was one of the Napoleonic steel cut tiaras, which are very cool. I think they're different, but they're very, very cool. So I just thought that's hysterical that one day she's like searching through a cupboard. She's like, oh, I didn't know this was here. And everybody's like, oh, we didn't know this was here either. So CNK says Victoria's rocking that purple, love the shade and tiara, gorgeous. Yes, it is amazing. Sandra said that trip was long and you covered a lot of ground in events. Yes, it was a long trip. Victoria has prospogansia, trouble recognizing herself and others, which is why she wears her hair up. Yeah, it is very sad, but it's just, yeah, it would be fun to see her with her hair down more, but I understand why. Cass says the princely house of Liechtenstein suffered a death in the family, and the heredity heirs, younger brother Prince Constant. Which royal houses would attend a funeral? Are they close to anyone? I think quite a number of the royals will attend it, but I would imagine be more the minor royals within the family, with some exceptions. Laner says, questions. How are the tiaras attached to the hair? That's a great question. So there's like a couple of different ways. It all depends on sort of the construction of the tiara. The woman's hair plays a factor in it as well. And sometimes I don't think they're necessarily maybe sewn. There's could be points where sometimes the tiara is sort of sewn into the hair, but usually there is a felt base around the tiara and they are able to set it on the head, and they utilize bobby pins and different things to secure it. And sometimes the hair itself, the style they use, sometimes they use braids and can kind of braid some of the frame of the tiara through the hair just to help secure it. And so it is it kind of all depends on what the style of tiara is. On this one on Victoria, I'm not sure. She could, I imagine there are some bobby pins in there holding it in, but it's also a circlet, so it's perhaps more stable than some of the others. And it has this, it doesn't have something where it's like super heavy in one side than the other. It's since all the stones are about the same and everything, it's very well balanced. So, yes. There's a documentary about tiaras with Queen Silvia and Margrethe where they discuss the history and checking with each other and what's to wear. They are besties. Yes, it is a great documentary, and their actually interviews are in English. The commentary is in Danish, I believe, but the interviews themselves with the ladies are in English, which is how we got the great statement from Queen Margrethe. It's not about the carrots, it's about the centuries. And so that is where that's from, which is awesome. And you see here from Crown Princess Mary too, and they talk a lot about, because the houses of Sweden and Denmark were very close throughout the ages. And so they talk a lot about how some of the jewelry pieces have moved between them and where they began and everything. So it's very cool. Peace Pacific says, Princess Sofia sometimes has worn gowns that are cut out in the back and we can see her tattoo. Yes, you can see her tattoo. I would say, I know it's not the most attractive tattoo. So sometimes I wish she'd I feel like it sort of ruins the look of the tiaras a bit. I do think it's perfectly fine that she has a tattoo. A lot of royals actually do. Actually, King Christian of Denmark was well known for having a lot of tattoos, actually. And so I think that is perfectly fine, but it's sort of with tiaras, it just doesn't look quite as awesome because it's right at the back of her neck, to just give you an idea. And just in case you guys were curious, here are the looks we have for the recent Nobel Peace Prize event. So this was again in Oslo in Norway, and it was attended earlier today. And so we have the ladies. So we have King Harald right here, and we have Queen Sonja of Norway, and then Crown Princess Mette-Marit of Norway, and her husband Crown Prince Haakon of Norway. And so the royal ladies are there, and it looks like everybody's sort of coordinated in dark colors today. And so that just gives you an idea. So it's not as exciting though in Norway because No tiaras attached. So Louis says you can call Marguerite's Daisy. I think you would have an easier time pronouncing that. Also, the quote is, we don't count the carrots, we count the centuries. Yes, I'm paraphrasing, but that's part of, but yeah, it's a great, great quote for sure. Meh Table says, why are some of the comments coming through to Brittany that I cannot see, but apparently mine and some of the other Brittany's doesn't see? Well, I did have a technical glitch when my computer, I had to like get out of Google Chrome and re-enter it. And because of that, I might have lost some of the questions in there because it's just like I had that happen before. So if I missed your question, feel free to put it back in. Don't like spam it. I'll get to it. But if you want to put it back in, that would be awesome. Patricia says, hi, Brittany. I know you're a tiara girl. And it's easy to see why I'm in love with brooches. Lake Queen wore some awesome ones. Yes, the Brits have some the British tiara collection or jewelry collection overall is exceedingly impressive. It's very, very impressive. A lot of that is due to Queen Mary. We need to have a Queen Mary appreciation video because she was just incredible with her choosing of pieces and everything. She really just had an incredible, fantastic, and amazing eye. But yes, when it comes to tiaras and jewelry, the Brits have some just, again, incredible, amazing pieces for sure. It's so fun to see. Hi, Brittany. Albertine says, hi, Brittany. I'm going to London next week only to buy Woodard's. That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, I had to stop drinking the Christmas hot cocoa because I wanted to save it for actually Christmas because I'm already getting through it and they're not selling it on the website. So Lee Foster says, I hope one day Camilla or Catherine could rework Queen Elizabeth's aquamarine tiara. The stones are beautiful, but the setting is dire. Yes, 100% yes. I do not like that tiara. It lacks the beauty and subtlety as some of the other older tiaras, in my opinion. I just do not like it. All right, we have Robin. Thank you so much for being a member. Ritz says King Carl Gustaf is still grumpy that Carl Philip is not the crown prince. Oh, well. Yeah, he's still sort of grumpy about that. I know some people are like, well, he's still, not that he doesn't love his daughter, not that he doesn't appreciate her and everything, but I still think in his heart of hearts, if he had a choice, his son would be crown prince. His son is younger than his oldest daughter, so he's still quite grumpy about that. He brings that up quite a bit. Not a ton of time, but he brought it up again sort of recently, and I'm like, can we be over that now? Kyler says, sorry, I got distracted walking my grand dog. I hope you are well, Brittany. Lovely to see you again so soon. Oh, yes. Yes. So Melissa says, I had to take my daughter to work. How much have I missed? Not too much. We're still in the ceremony here at this point, and I don't want to bring up the live stream. I would, but last time too, you get hit for copyright if you're watching something for too long. So we will just keep an eye on things and see when they change. So Bobby says Queen Silvia has talked about an issue with the sapphire tiara. It dug into her head at one point and caused an injury because of the pins, etc., that are holding it on. Yes, because I think sometimes people forget these tiaras. Yes, they're beautiful, but they're very heavy. And the bigger the stones are, the bigger the tiara is, the more weight it does have. And it can dig into your head and it can hurt and everything like that. Like for me, I even have trouble with headbands. I love headbands, but headbands give me a headache. So I'd be like, I probably couldn't wear a tiara well without taking some Excedrin. I'd be like, okay, we need Excedrin on tap. I would suffer though, guys. If I got to wear a tiara, I would suffer. I can never remember the first name of it, but something in Skinner in the UK. They are a old jewelry company. They have patents with royal patents and everything, and they let you can technically rent a tiara from them. And I do want to see maybe if they want to do a video and share some of the behind the scenes things. Now, this is a great question. Stephen, who has the most expensive tiara in all the royal European families? So when it comes to tiaras, I would probably argue the Dutch do. It's the Stuart tiara. So I have a good picture of it here. And that is purely because it's just filled with massive stones. It's just filled with absolutely massive stones. But it's also because of the biggest stone within the collection, which is on top of it. And that is the Stuart diamond, which is a 40 karat light blue diamond. And light blue diamonds, of course, as we're all aware, are already pretty rare. And so when you add that in, so here is Queen Maxima. This is at her state visit to the UK. This is the only time she's worn this tiara, and you can just see how big these stones are. But you can see the blue here in this one. And so this is the creme de la creme. This is a Stuart diamond. It is, again, 40 karat light blue diamond. It's been around for centuries. It was actually a part of a lawsuit between the UK and the Netherlands centuries ago at one point, because I can't remember who it started with, but it ended up coming back to the Netherlands via the Stuarts. And at some point, the British are like, hey, we want that diamond back. And the Dutch are like, no, it's ours now. And so there was some sort of lawsuit over it. But it is a stunningly gorgeous piece. But I would imagine, just based on the carat weight, this one would probably be the most expensive. If it came to something like an auction just for people's recognition, I would imagine the Girls of Great Britain and Ireland one would go maybe for more, or perhaps even the Queen Mary's Lover's Knot, because of the association with Catherine and Diana. And Diana especially, that one would go for an exceeding amount of money, probably over what it's actually worth. In terms of just actual worth of the tiara, I would imagine this one is actually the most expensive. When it comes, though, to crowns, obviously the British blow everybody away, because the Imperial State Crown has the cullinan too, which is the second greater star of Africa. And so they are, the first one is in the Imperial State Crown, which is like 540 carats. I think the one in the Imperial Scepter is 500 carats. And then one in the crown is like 320, I believe. And so because of the carat weight of that, you have the Black Prince's ruby, and you have the Stuart sapphire, and then you have a sapphire connected to Edward the Confessor. I would say overall that crown is worth far more than perhaps this tiara is. So again, all depends, but yes, historic association obviously does increase the value depending on the families, but I think in terms of pure carats and weight, this one would be my top guess for the tiara that actually costs the most. And just to give you an idea, Queen Maxima has worn this tiara several times in several configurations, but has only worn the Stuart diamond with it one time. And that's because I think in just part, it's just the expense of the diamond itself. You have to be pretty careful. So Dizfan asks, and thank you so much for the tip, what is the history behind the stomacher Camilla wore? That is the Queen Mary, Queen Victoria would wear back then. Why did we not see it under Queen Elizabeth? Great question. I actually looked through, apparently belonged to Queen Elizabeth, the Queen Mother. I could not figure out, I actually went through a lot of the Getty images and to see if Queen Mary or Queen Elizabeth, the Queen Mother, wore it at some point, and she did not. And so I think the history there is something we don't actually know. Nobody really knows. And that's the crazy part about some of these collections, is that you just don't know what is actually in there. And there's some things that have been there for years. And Queen Elizabeth, the Queen Mother, had a particular brooch she wore constantly with massive tiara gowns. She didn't wear that stomacher. We've never really seen that stomacher before. It has reminiscences of a gorgeous piece that belonged to the French, but it's not that. Aaron says, yuck, Met Mara has that. That is another unflattering outfit, and the color of grief. Yeah, it is funny, because before I think she has worn white, but they were all in sort of dark colors, so I don't know why it would be there. No tiaras attached could be the title of your first book, Brittany. I enjoy that. Lala says, can you see the Nobels in the US? I believe you can. 2023. And so, yes, it is currently live right now on YouTube. And so, again, you can go in there and, yeah, you could play it right now if you wanted to. Yeah, so it's still going on at the present. And I actually came in at a great moment, because, again, this is supposed to be all about, you know, the the winners and everything. But we come here for the tiaras, let's be honest. So it is live on their website. Just put in Nobel Prize Award Ceremony 2023, and I'll take you directly to a live video here. And so you can see all the royal ladies on the stage and the royal gentlemen as well. And so there you go if you are interested. P Pacific says, when I met Princess Diana in Canada, she was wearing the Lover's Knot tiara. And yes, it's beyond brilliant and special. Memory etched into my mind. That is so cool. That is really cool. I really hope to be able to start covering some of the tiara events in person. Again, I was there in Sweden and they did have a tiara event, but I'm still like a kind of an unknown entity, and they had to limit. So I understood why I didn't get the spot to take a picture of the tiaras, but I did ask. But hopefully one day in the future, they'll be like, yeah, come in. Alice says, hi, Brittany. I wonder what will be the first tiara Princess Charlotte will wear. What do you think? Will they get her a new one? I don't think they need to get her a new one. I know somebody said, cost of living crisis and everything. And there's so many within the royal family, the British, they don't need to buy a new one. I would imagine it might be something like the Strathmore Rose. It might be the tiara her mother wore, so the Cartier Scroll that her mother wore on her wedding. So there are a couple of different options. And there's some we haven't seen. And I can't remember, there's like a sapphire bandeau tiara we haven't seen in 50, 60, 70 years. There's a couple other tiaras that she could wear. Although what would be kind of funny and interesting is if she wore the tiara Meghan Markle wore on her wedding day. That would be kind of funny. As her first tiara. That would be really, really funny. Just putting that out there. Yeah. So yes. So this is interesting. So Frala Parsine says, I love the fact that a lot of Swedish tiaras and jewelry are Josephine Bonaparte's legacy. The girl knew what to buy. Yes. So this is what's interesting. Is the Bernadotte family, which is a family that now runs or is the monarchy family of Sweden. So they're originally French. So and I can't remember quite how the whole situation played out, but the French were looking for a new king. And so they offered it or asked Bernadotte John Baptiste Bernadotte, who was actually one of Napoleon's generals, if he wanted to come over and be king of Sweden. And he's like, sure. I can't remember quite how all the connections came together, but very interesting. And so because of that, there was a decent amount of French jewelry that went with John Baptiste and ended up in the Swedish tiara collection. And so a lot of historic pieces within the Swedish, which is not the case with some of the families, like the Belgian tiaras, I think are still pretty new and don't have quite that same history. Norway as well in a lot of ways. But the Swedes have a lot of connections to the French and the French jewelry. So Denise says the Grenville Emerald Kokoshnik tiaras is one of them is the most expensive tiara in the world. I don't know if it is. Emeralds themselves are obviously a very pricey gemstone. And so there is the factor that obviously emeralds themselves are very expensive, but a light blue diamond that's 40 carats, I think trumps in that big emerald. So I would still go with the Stuart tiara there just because of the massiveness and the expense of that just singular light blue stone. So Mia says, hello, Brittany. Event of the year. Victoria is magnificent in purple. She is. I think she looks lovely. Rit says Maxima wears the most grand tiaras. Boom. She does. And she wears them well. Like, it's just one thing to just wear them, but Victoria wears them so well. You can tell just that she really, sorry, not Victoria. I'm thinking of the Nobels. Maxima has a really great appreciation for the big gems. She wears them quite a bit. Any event, even though it's not a tiara that needs it, she'll wear it. So Rich says one of my favorite looks on Queen Maxima. Yes, it's one of my favorites. I have a couple others that I think maybe trump it out, but she looked great in that. Lizzie V says it's 3,106 carats. Wow, yeah. The Cullinan diamond, which is the largest flawless D diamond, clarity diamond in the world ever found, was 3,106 carats, and they sent it by post back to the UK. They found it in South Africa and they sent a fake by boat and the real one via post. So can you imagine, like, just think of how expensive that is. But that was a raw. It wasn't cut yet. So cut, and then you get the 9 prominent Cullinan pieces that are all part of the British collection. Sandra says Queen Maxima can dress up really well when she puts her mind to it. Yes, some of her individual events, I look at it and go, what? Did you get dressed in like a darkened closet in the back of the palace or something? There was one where like it literally looked like she had a lion's mane, not even joking. And then gala events. So she usually generally looks fabulous. C and K says the Russian imperial family had the best jewels, but most were sold or stolen after the revolution. Queen Mary snapped up a lot of them. I imagine the others are around in vaults across Europe. I would hope so. But yeah, it did get quite dismantled, and it was an impressive collection. You can see pictures of what the Bolsheviks showed of the collection itself, but we don't know where a lot of those pieces ended up. One of them was really cool. It had like kind of waves, and sort of like the one that Charlene was given by Albert, but she's only worn in a photo shoot, never to an actual royal event. Susan says, I bet Charlotte will receive a beginner's tiara when she turns 18. Yes. And then one from the collection, hopefully not someone they buy, because the new ones are just not quite as pretty. And we got some ugly starter tiaras, particularly for Crown Princess Victoria. Her first, I think, tiara appearance at the Nobels was with one of her starters, and that was not a pretty piece. Louise says another tiara that would be worth a lot would be the Dutch sapphire tiara that Maxima has worn a few times. The fringe from the UK, or Crown Princess Mary's rubies, just because of the history of Napoleon. Yes, history does count in some of these, but in terms of like pure carats, again, I think the Stuart reigns supreme there. The Dutch sapphire Mellorio would also be quite impressive as well. And again, too, it depends on the quality of the stones and stuff like that. And you can see some of the deepness of the color is different in the stones in some of the royal houses compared to others. Bobby says the Nobel Prize ceremony is still going. Lots of music currently. Opera. Yes. Hopefully we can maybe wait here and see when they head off to dinner and start heading back. And so that's always fun. And I did figure out, because Chris was so kind to show me around Sweden a bit, one of my followers, and she showed me that I was thinking that they did dinner in the same building, but no, they do have to go to a separate building. So it was a bit away, so they had to move over there. It was like, oh, I thought I was in the same. It's not. Lizzie says the Queen Mother wore a beautiful bandeau once and we never saw it again. Wish it would make it come back. Yes, I'm sure there's plenty within the vaults that we haven't seen before, and so hopefully one day we will be blessed. Won't believe Miss Pippa. Steven says, wouldn't there be smaller tiaras that the young Princess Elizabeth wore, or Princess Royal, etc.? Yes. And so obviously, like the Strathmore Rose, there's a couple of bandeaus, which are generally smaller. There's like a couple pieces that she could definitely wear. Some of them we haven't seen in a really long time. But again, it all depends on like when she first wears a tiara and stuff like that. And again, I hope the Brits kind of like, I know they're still in the system that they followed forever of Elizabeth, but I hope they kind of bust it up and do some more fun stuff. Love your channel. You need more videos. Thanks. Oh, thank you. Yes, I know I need to work on getting more for the fashion channel because I do absolutely love it. All right. In case you guys want to see Miss Pippa. She's a funny girl. All right. So Dawn says, I believe the Brits do have an amethyst tiara. I think I remember Queen Elizabeth II wearing one. She has some amethyst jewelry, and there may have been one at some point, but I don't think one exists anymore. I'm pretty sure. They just don't have one. I just can't even think of any other family that really has a big, a nice amethyst piece. It just doesn't. So that's what makes the Swedish piece so much specialer. I don't know if special is the right word, but it makes it even more valuable in a lot of ways because there aren't very many, and the Napoleonic history of the stones themselves also increases the value of that particular tiara, but amethysts themselves generally are not worth a ton of money compared to some of the others. The tiaras are not so heavy that people think. The Brenzenga is quite heavy, but others not so heavy. I have hold some of them, so I know. Yeah, I mean, some of them are, some of them aren't. It depends on the construction, what kind of metals were used and stuff like that. But I think too, it's like you can handle them for a bit and you're like, oh, this is fine. This is great. It's one of those things where you put it on and about 30 minutes in, you're like, this is starting to hurt. This is starting to hurt. So I think there's, again, it depends on how much weighty. And you got to think too, Diana complained about the movement of the pearls in the Queen Mary's Lover's Knot. The 5 tiara has a similar situation where the diamonds move. Actually, if you are at Kensington Palace and you do go to see there's 3 tiaras, one of them is a 5. And if you do go in there and you walk, the ground moves around your steps shake the case like a smidge, and those diamonds move slightly. That's how easy they are to move. And so they are that impacts it too, because if you have something not only on your head but moving on your head, again, that adds an extra dimension you might not think. Allison says, would it be cool for Van Cleef to make a tiara? I think so anyways. Yeah, there's been a couple, Chomet or whatever, who made the tiara for Prince Rajwa and Jordan. They're still active. I mean, tiaras are still made. Generally, though, I would say the ones I see, I just don't feel like have the same artistry and craftsmanship as the ones that we saw about 100 years ago. I think sometimes particular skills are sort of lost. And I think skills in tiaras is one of those things. It's just my personal opinion, but I just don't ever feel like I see a tiara that is in a collection that looks as good as the one that we see now. Okay, so where are we in the event? All right, looks like we still have music going on in the Nobels. I was just going to see where we're at. So, and Bernadotte's wife says Ray, former fiance of Napoleon. Yes. And Becky says, I wish Princess Victoria would wear her hair down more. Even her daughter wears her hair up quite a bit. Both are so beautiful either way. Yes. And again, I don't think we'll just see that much from Victoria. And because I think, again, she has sort of an issue with recognizing herself, and she perhaps just doesn't even like it that much. CP Victoria looks amazing. I wonder which crown she will wear when she's queen. Do the suites have a coronation? They have a ceremony. You can't really call it a full coronation. I mean, it might be a coronation, but I know they're like the only true coronation that still occurs in Europe is the English one, because it has a religious connotation to it. Not that the others don't, but he is sanctified as well as head of the Church of England. Charles was. So I haven't done too much investigation into what it would look like in terms of for the suites. And so I would imagine she could wear the cameo. I feel like that's the most historic and important piece within the Swedish collection in a lot of ways. Obviously, you have the Brazanga that could be worn as well. And so, but there's not really a crown for her to wear. Queen Silvia has a Brazanga earrings. It's 30 carats each, and the quality is the best. They are very valuable. Yes. And again, too, the older the gemstones are, I think that increases the value too. Rich says, Crown Princess Victoria looks so stunning on her wedding date. My favorite wedding gown, and she wore that cameo tiara. Perfection. Yes. I thought she looked fantastic, and that's how to do a simple gown well. Meghan Markle failed to do a simple gown well. I think Meghan Markle's look was so incredibly boring. I was like, wow, even the tiara doesn't really pump this look up and make it look good. And again, I was not a fan of Meghan, never was a fan of Meghan, but I was somewhat looking forward to the gown and the tiara. I remember going, oh, that's it. That's it. I know she meant for her veil to be like the starring piece of the whole thing, but it was so ridiculously overly long that it almost didn't work because it just overwhelmed her. Yeah. Oh, Lizzie B, there's so many people wondering how your tummy's doing. So she is doing well. Alicia says, Royal News Network, if you need an idea for a fashion channel, cover Queen Maxima in France. She wore this gorgeous Iris Van Herpen dress. I did actually a little short on that. So it's on Royal Fashion News. That is my fashion channel. And it's a channel I've had here for a little bit. I just don't get to it quite as often, but I do absolutely love it. And because it's just so fun to do these kind of things, because I think they are so special. I know it's not an everybody thing, but it is cool either way. So there is the fashion channel if you are wondering, if you ever want to go. So we have 72 videos here. I need to work on this banner thing, but we've got a lot of great, interesting, especially tiara videos and really inspired gifts. So that was a lot of fun to film. And we have it's kind of interesting. We have this video I did recently, and then we also had a couple ones have done it over 1 million, which is crazy to me. But I do absolutely love tiaras and talking about jewelry. And and Kate's engagement dress, because I have a version of that. And so we go over different tiaras at some points. We look at different fashion things and everything, evaluating different fashion looks. Meghan Markle appears in there. We have tiaras at the Swedish Golden Jubilee. Oh, wow. And that has 90,000 views. I haven't really looked recently. And this was so fun because I got to take a picture of that. It's just so fun. So many great pieces and looks. And so, yes, I just love it. This channel's so fun. And, but I will totally admit, guys, I do not get here as often as I should, but I do love it. Let's see. Lizzie says, I wish the late queen would have allowed Princess Catherine to wear the Strathmore Rose tiara for her wedding day. The Cartier halo is nice, but the SRT would have looked amazing with her in that dress. I agree. I actually am not really a fan of the piece that she wore. Like, I don't know, the Cartier halo is nice, but didn't have big enough gemstones because I think they were more flat, that the tiara didn't sparkle very much. So P Pacific says, Brittany, you must look for a photo of Queen Silvia at the 2001 banquet. She wore the tiara and diamond necklace in her hair. So cool. Yes. Tiara's done some amazing things. Oh, excuse me. With tiaras. Oh, excuse me. I'm so sorry, y'all. Okay, let's see if we are where we are in the ceremony here. Let's get back up Crown Princess Victoria, because she is absolutely fabulous. Oh, she looks so lovely. Isn't she lovely? Oh, whoops. No, it went away. Whoops. Sorry, guys. I thought I put it up there. Oh, whoops. I exited out of it. That was my boo-boo. Okay, we'll get there some other way. Patricia says, I know you aren't sure about this, but I really hope that when Catherine is queen, she designs one and it's called the Queen Catherine tiara. Probably not. I just don't think that that's going to be the case. I don't think, honestly, to a certain extent, Catherine is that interested in big pieces of jewelry. If you've noticed her throughout the years, she tends to choose smaller pieces. Not always, but oftentimes she does. So I just can't see her saying, I really want to design a tiara. I just can't really see that. But it would be interesting to see what she would choose. But I just don't think she probably will. Oh, let's look at the whole family. I am bummed, though, that we don't get all the kids and everybody on the stage anymore. I do think it's a little bit disappointing. Okay. Are there any gold crown tiaras, or are too heavy with gold reserved for crowns? So actually, yes, there are a couple of gold tiaras. They're very pretty. They're not very pretty. So we have Queen Margrethe of Denmark. She has two. And they were both, one was made in Greenland, and it was like made from like old coins or something. Can't quite remember. And the other one is another one she got from a company, and they're not great. There's also one that people like to call like the Star Trek tiara in the Norway. It's pretty ugly. Not gonna lie. They just, like, solid gold tiaras don't turn out very pretty. They just don't. Steel cut surprisingly does turn out very pretty. These Swedes have two of those. So Denise says, what a blessing that history is preserved when it comes to royal families across Europe. Yes. Yes, I think it's fabulous. I think it's fabulous. Again, and you have that connection things, and these are pieces too they're old and not broken up. It's kind of like having like 100 acres and being able to keep that 100 acres like together and not parsing it out into different smaller pieces. Like, you're able to keep it together, and that's what's so brilliant about some of these jewelries. Yes, Patricia, your fashion channel is brilliant. Literally. Oh, my, thank you. Oh, Lizzie says, remember to hit that like button. Why, thank you. Bless you, or Gesundheit. I don't know which one you prefer. Either one is fine. Yes, I do get a little bit of the sneezes sometimes. The people behind the royals are academics, and the names the prices plus overspill laureates behind the winner seats are the laureates from former years. Yes, I kind of figured as much, but yeah, it's just so fun. Like, yay, it's like the best. Congrats on the Rose video surpassing 1 million views. Why, thank you. I was not expecting that. I was not expecting that. It was quite crazy. Rich says, I love how Victoria acknowledges everyone when she enters a room. Very classy. She's a very classy room. Very, very sweet. And again, I was very impressed with her. Like, I didn't get to talk to her or anything, but being at the Swedish Jubilee, it was just fun to listen to her or just watch her. She is very engaged, very aware of people and everything. And Matthew says, hello, Brittany and Tiara fans just got here. Could you do a review? Why, yes. So we had the Swedish Nobels. We have Queen Silvia here in the 9-prong. We have Victoria and the Napoleonic amethyst tiara. And then we have Princess Sofia in the crowd. And she is wearing the tiara she got for her wedding. We haven't really seen much else of her look at this point. Just depends on where the camera guys are allowed to be. And since she is not on the stage, we just don't get quite as good a look. I'm hoping here before too long that we are finally moving on to dinner. And maybe, just maybe, we can get some better looks at what everybody has. I was going to live video and I saw a brief shot of Crown Princess Victoria, but now I've lost it. Okay. All right. Looks like they're still at the ceremony at this point. And so it looks like someone longer. And then we do have to allow them to get to the venue. Oops. It's just such a cool event that Swedes get to do and just so magnificent every year. All the Swedish royal little ones are adorable. They are this most precious. And I love how they do the babies' christenings with all the other kids present. And it's just like chaos incarnate. Lama says the ceremony is live on YouTube. It is. And if you go to just search for the Nobel Prize 2023, you will find a live stream going there as well on their website, which is also on YouTube. So it's just an exciting event every year. And when we get to really appreciate some great royal looks. And let's see here. There's a crowd picture here. Okay, so I can confirm that one of the king's sisters is there. Or at least one or two. Looks like two. Because I can see Princess Christina, but I'm just not as familiar with the next one. But she and her husband are seated next to Prince Carl Philip and Princess Sofia. So I imagine they're members of the family, but it's just kind of hard to tell from here. From the distance shot, and we don't have close-up pictures of them. And it all depends too on what pictures what the photographers are allowed to get and where they're sat. Some places get better placement than others, which I understand. But so I'm searching here and seeing if I can find some more pictures on a different page here. Ooh, if we can get, yeah. Sorry, I got super excited there for a second. So these are from Alamy because different companies are allowed to do different things. And you can get the view of the back of her head, Crown Princess Victoria. Sorry, a little bit of sniffles there. And you can see this is a full circlet, and you can see she even has an amethyst brooch in the back of her hair as well. How gorgeous is that? Oh, it's so pretty. I love it. Love it so much. Carrie says, Lady C said that you could only wear a tiara if you were married or had been married. I think the Brits have different rules in the rest of Europe. Yes, the ladies have worn tiaras for a long time before they got married, and even Princess Anne wore tiara before she got married. So I don't know how that, because I've heard that from other people too, but honestly, I don't put much stock in it because that might be if you are a married in, but that still depends on the family, because Queen Maxima got to wear a tiara before she married her husband, because she went to the wedding, I think, of the Crown Prince of Norway. And so she got to wear a tiara then. But when it comes to ladies who are born within the royal families, most of them start wearing tiara after the age of 18. So we have Princess Catherine Amalia, Princess Elizabeth, and again Princess Anne. But Princess Anne is remember the last blood princess of her generation that we've had that was directly connected to the Queen. And so when it comes to Beatrice and Eugenie, there was just no events for them to wear tiaras too. That might change with Princess Charlotte. She may actually start wearing a tiara as soon as she turns 18 if she starts attending state functions, like state visits or whatever. She may start wearing a tiara then. And again, the Brits had a different situation because King Carl Gustaf married his wife after he was king. So their children were automatically, heirs to the throne and everything. The Brits just had this huge buffer because Queen Elizabeth lived for so long. So it'll be interesting to see if they adjust how they do things, because by the time Charlotte's an adult and everything and could be starting to attend these events, they'll desperately need people to start attending the events because the Duke and Duchess of Gloucester will probably retire. Duke of Kent will retire. Princess Andrea has already retired. Princess Anne will probably still be going strong, but she may be like, you know what? I kind of want to retire at this point. And you also have the Duke and Duchess of Edinburgh. Everybody will be getting up in age. And I just think that the number of royals that can work will diminish and they'll need more. So CP Victoria is so excellent. She carries herself and the responsibility with such grace. She really does. She's excellent there. C&K Cribs. My favorite tiara I've seen is the one Norn is the Josephine Fabergé tiara. The Fabergé tiaras are quite beautiful. And again, we don't even know quite some of the techniques Fabergé used. So it's very cool. Olo says Sweden has no coronation, but they swear to the government to rule by Swedish law. That sounds about right. Okay, who was the English king that basically stripped out the jewels from the crown because of the debt and they had to be replaced? Now, I can't remember off the top of my head. So there was a situation where obviously when Oliver Cromwell came to power, he basically eliminated all the crown, like he destroyed all the crown jewels and everything. But when it comes to taking out the crown, I want to say it was probably sometime around that time period, because I know there was a story that James II, as he was leaving England, like threw the Stuart sapphire in like the Thames or something. That's one of the rumors or legends. And we do know that the gemstones that were in the tiaras oftentimes or within the crowns were actually lent. They were rented to put into the crown and then were taken out. So if I had to guess, I would say it was whoever was king before Charles I. Wasn't Henry VIII. Or maybe it was after. Sorry, don't know. But I'm trying to think through. If anybody knows for sure, that would be interesting. Alice says, was it Prince George IV? He was in perpetual debt. It might have been. Just so hard to know. Well, I mean, obviously you can Google and know, but it's just it all depends on the situation. But George IV also created the George IV diadem. That would have cost a lot of money. Okay, so don't they all look amazing? My favorite is the amethyst tiara. It does look gorgeous, doesn't it? Look at that gorgeous. And I think this is one of the better appearances of this tiara I've seen on Victoria. I don't always like, sometimes she's worn it and it's just really obvious. It's kind of just like setting on her head. Because again, this entire circlet is hard. It's hard. And it can also be taken apart. And it was technically a necklace to start out with. What do you think of Crown Princess Victoria's visit to the UK? She and Prince William seem to get on very well. She did, and I think she's generally just a very, very warm person. I think she has just a fabulous warmth to her, and so I think she's really easy to get along with and everything. And there's kind of and that was on an old phone. I think I'd have to go through my old phones and maybe I could find it. Though I tried to get into one of my old phones and I keep coming up with the wrong passcode and gonna get locked out. But anyways, so it was really cool because it was like this whole list of things. If you're a royal watcher, you like know all these things, X, Y, and Z. One of them was said that everybody loves Crown Princess Victoria, which is true. Everybody loves Crown Princess Victoria. Who has the best dress? I think it's Victoria. I think she wins, but you guys will have to let me know what you think. That purple looks amazing on Crown Princess Victoria. It does, and it's like such a relief in the last couple of years, which have been sort of disappointing. Brittany, Pippa Middleton Matthews has Catherine's engagement dress in red. It's a dress like yours. She does. And I do love that color too. It's like a cranberry. It's really awesome. The CFO Mafia wife says, no Princess Madeline. Unfortunately, no Princess Madeline this year. Next year, I would imagine she'll be living in Sweden by then with her family. So hopefully, fingers crossed, because I do think she looks fantastic. I love her looks. And she looks, especially when she wears the aquamarine kokoshnik, like that tiara was made for her. That tiara was definitely 100% like made for her, because she has these gorgeous, big, incredible blue eyes. And so I think there are a few people who can pull that look off particularly well. And I think Crown Princess Madeline is one of them. So here we can get, again, a good shot of Crown Princess Victoria just from a different angle. Yes, I love the back shot. I just changed the shot, but it's still great. Sorry so late. Was at the Army-Navy game yesterday and got up late. No worries at all. This is just for fun if you love watching tiaras. Shaz says she looks absolutely stunning, and I'm loving that purple dress. Yes. NAA says that is probably the hairpin to match the circlet she's wearing. Yes. Well, it is. Oftentimes, though, the Swedes are very good at taking like brooches and different pieces of jewelry and actually incorporating them into their hair. So it's not a hairpin as much as it is probably actually a brooch. So it looks like a smaller version of what she's using to hold up her Order of the Seraphim. And so that's what she's doing. Rich says that is a great shot of Crown Princess Victoria. She is stunning. Yes. Do all the royal ladies have stylists now? Crown Princess Victoria looked amazing. I read that B also has one now. If they do, I think that would be awesome. Crown Princess Victoria, I love her, but some of her day-to-day looks can be interesting. Just kind of boring, and she could look so great. She's so fit. And some of her gala looks have been I don't want to say ugly, but that is a word. So yeah, it would be it's just be awesome. It's just awesome when she hits it out of the park, because I think she does it so well. Louise says, wouldn't a video on Fabergé be a good idea? Yes, 100% yes. Fabergé has one of my favorite tiaras, which is this aquamarine one. It's so pretty. It was up for auction several years ago. So somebody owns it now. I don't know who. Mia says, Princess Sofia in dark colors and a lot of bling around her neck. Princess Christina, Mrs. Magson in red and black and white. Yes. So we shall see how the event is going. Oh, look, it has officially ended, because we did have the royals have left. So they are moving on to the banquet now. Sorry, I'm just going to see real quick here. We can see, they moved this camera angle and it kind of went crazy there for a second. And I was hoping to get like a good look of the royals leaving, but not really. That was kind of funny. Like the camera angle went crazy, and then it went to like nothing. So I'm like, okie dokie. So, but we do have, it officially has wrapped up the ceremony. And so then we go on to dinner afterwards. And it's just an awesome opportunity to see the ladies walk down in their full regalia. And let's see here. It's just a fun event. So cool. Oh, hold on. And wait just a second. Looks like we got the person who received the last award here. And so, sorry, I'm just kind of trying to make sure I'm seeing what I'm want to be seeing here. So we do have, if you can see it in this video here, you can see Princess Sofia right there. You can see her a little bit down there in the corner of your screen, in her the tiara she received for her wedding. So that was exciting there. And I had to be careful again for copyright reasons, so I can't let it go on for too long. But I just wanted to see if we can get some other images of maybe Princess Christina and see what she's wearing. But Nobel Prize, that would be pretty cool. That would be pretty awesome. I don't know if any of y'all are fans of the Big Bang Theory, but they did have they ended their whole series at the Nobel Prizes, actually, which I thought was really cool. It was just a really interesting way to do it. So let's keep going. Yeah, we asked that anyways. Well, anyone want to wear the Markle tiara? Well, it's a nice tiara. It's definitely a nice tiara. So I wouldn't say somebody else wouldn't want to see it. Mia says James II. King John. Oh yeah, that's right. He lost the crown jewels. He lost them crossing from England to France. That sounds about right. Sounds about right. Oh man. I just asked Alexa, King John lost them when his bag containing them sank into quicksand. That's hysterical. That just sounds so John, doesn't it? Oh, poor John. Poor John. He had to sign the Magna Carta and he was not liked by anybody. Shaz says, yep, definitely Crown Princess Victoria, but I love the purple, so I'm a bit biased. Yes, Crown Princess Victoria is a very busy godmother. Yes. So she is like the godmother of Europe. She has so many godchildren. Basically, all of them too are the heirs and stuff because she's just so well liked. I think that's the awesome part of it is that she's just so well liked that people just enjoy spending time with her and just enjoy sharing their children with her. And she had a whole bunch of future heirs who were at her wedding. So, and we do also have here a different look of Sofia's dress. Once again, you can see a bit here, not great since it is a video, but it's nice to be able to see it a bit. And you got a photographer right there. I would love to be the photographer there at some point. I love it when they wear purple. Charles and Camilla's coronation robes were just beautiful. They were, and they looked great in person too. Fortunately, I couldn't take pictures. Stephen said, this is him. Edward III pawned the jewelry to pay his troops during an overseas campaign. Charles I's wife also managed to pawn the crown jewels in Holland at the beginning of the Civil War. Okay, and that might explain how the Stuart diamond ended up in Holland and then went back to England and then went back to Holland. That makes sense. Shash says, I love the closeness that Crown Princess Victoria has with Prince William. I think her and Daniel being at the variety show showed how much support they have for Catherine and William. Yes, I thought it was a lovely move to make. I don't know who suggested it or if it just timing worked out, but I just thought that was fantastic. Lizzie said, Stephen Magnus pawned the crown jewels. That should have been illegal. My goodness, the history. Oh, yes. Oh, so sad. So sad. It's really sad. What are they having for dinner? I don't know. Usually we probably will get a picture of what the dinner is going to look like. But I always think it's funny too, because it's like they're in like normal like chairs. You would think everybody's like in these nice throne chairs or something. And then they look like typical conference chairs. So I always think that's kind of funny. Personally. So I was just hoping we would see maybe where they would end up, but I think we are pretty much done here with it. So we may not get to, we'll wait a little bit longer, but we may not get to when they arrive because we've already been doing this for a little bit. So I think we'll probably go ahead and wrap up here in a minute unless I see some of the pictures from them arriving. But of course you can do that later as well because I just love, oh, they're so gorgeous. I just love the tiaras and the pictures. Aren't they the best? Laner says, love the Big Bang Theory. Yeah. I look live right now at SVT. Yes. The material on King Charles's coronation purple vest looked like cheap material and it lacked richness and color and tone. It probably did. I just don't think we sometimes get the quality people used to get. And things. Rich says, how irresponsible to lose the crown jewels. Such nerve. I know, right? How could you? I just think the Bolsheviks too. I think some of the one of the grander Kokoshniks did survive and is still in a museum and it has like a pink reddish diamond to it. But yeah. It is an awesome piece. Alice said during World War II, the biggest jewels were taken from the crown jewels hidden in biscuit tins and put in Windsor. I love that story. Yes. Because that Windsor, obviously, castles aren't foolproof, but castles are meant to withstand bombardment, and so that is one of the best. And obviously, it's outside of London too, so you don't have to get the constant, because Tower of London was at risk and stuff like that as well. And so it's just like I think crown jewels and just the history connected with them is so fascinating, and that's why I love it because I love history. If you guys have followed me a long time, you know I love history. It is the best. What are your family's Christmas traditions? Oh, probably not too fancy because it's mostly just been our immediate family. For Christmas, we usually opened, at least when I was a kid, we had opened one present on Christmas Eve and then we opened our presents on Christmas Day. And usually we would have cinnamon rolls on Christmas morning. And so, yeah, those are probably our biggest traditions, I would say. So, will you create a dinner for the video for the dinner walk? Yes, I think I'll do. I was planning on doing an overview of the whole looks for everyone. So we'll be doing that later. And so that's probably why it's probably best to go ahead and wrap this up here. And Denise said the crown jewels were hidden in plain sight. Love it. Yes, it is absolutely fantastic. So guys, sometimes hiding things in plain sight is best. All right, guys. Well, Ms. Pippa and I will go ahead and wrap up this live stream here. She says, thank you so much for joining us. We did say, I have a quick one from M. Matthews. Did you see the kimono jacket made from the old drapes from the royal houses donated by King Charles III? They were awesome. They were gorgeous. So guys, this has been so fun. I'm sorry for a bit of the last minute. I needed to get my timing right, but maybe next year I will be able to show you guys pictures that I took from attending. I hope so anyway. So guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a great rest of your Sunday, and I will be doing a video going over all the looks in more detail. So thank you guys so much. Oh, Miss Pippa getting all the love. She's so cute. How can you not? She's so cute. She's a happy girl. So guys, thank you so much. I appreciate it. And I will look forward to seeing you guys again soon. Bye. Hold on. There we go. Right button. All right, guys. I will see